Yes, good evening. My name is Wallace Gator Bradley, and I'm the host of the Bradley Report. I'm also the president and urban translator for United in Peace, Inc. We got a very interesting show. So much has happened since last week, and especially since July the 4th. We're going to be talking about where it takes all of us. Everybody screaming, all hands on deck. I'm with that 100%. There's a lot of people within the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, that's behind it 100%. From gang members to former gang members to fraternities and sororities to the Masonic Order, Eastern Stars, to business leadership, spiritual leadership, elected officials, from the mayor to the county board president, to the governor, to the president of the United States. And it's time that we all come together. And we're going to be talking about humanity through redemption. The brothers and the sisters that's behind the walls, if they're allowed to, they can send word out to the community. And they can convince some people to stop killing. We need everyone to be on board with the code. Where senseless shootings and killings, the abuse and the rape of women and children, and the abuse and the robbery and the disrespect of our elders are not tolerated. And those that's doing it need to be held accountable. I'm going to show you how it's done. And this is something that we must do. The week before the 4th, we had 78 shootings. 4 mass shootings just in Chicago in the African American community by African Americans. Criminal justice reform is needed. Our president that was elected, I'm of the opinion of, and I'm sure you are too, he was redeemed, and our votes showed that we believe in redemption from his support of the 1994 Act, crime bill. The things that we're seeing today is because of the actions of the 1994 crime bill. Just as he was redeemed, he should have redemption in his heart in the name of humanity. Our governor, he's a criminal justice reform advocate. He has a hand in helping to put an end to senseless shootings and killings. We're going to talk about that. The community is telling the governor to do some things that he can do. Our mayor has come to the point to say that systemic racism is one of the reasons for the violence, and she's doing everything that she can with her law enforcement. And the city of Chicago got to do everything that they can to help turn this tide. This 4th of July, we had over 100 shootings. I believe 104, maybe 108. And I'm sure a lot of people have been receiving the same type of calls, because 9 times out of 10, a lot of people in the city of Chicago and the county of Cook know some of the individuals that have been shot and killed. We're going to talk about that. A friend, very close friend of mine, daughter and grandchild, got shot. She was a principal of Whistler Elementary School. Same school where my children and grandchildren graduated from. In the same community where I come from. It's affecting all of us. Police officers, ATF agents, they get shot. The individuals that shot them, they caught one, from what I read and from what I heard on the news. And from what I read and from what I heard in the news from a press conference by law enforcement, his excuse was that he thought he was shooting at the rival gang. But we're going to get on with this show. I want to let you know also that this show was produced, and the topics for the short time that I have before my viewing audience and my listening audience was put together and pretty much arranged with the help of my wife, who happens to be the chairman of United Peace Inc. None other than my wife, Terry Marsh Bradley. And the technical wherewithal to help make this hit you right and I'll be right on time with the show is none other than Brother Omari. So with that, let me say, to God be the glory, and let me get on with this story. Brother Omari, let's go to work.
If you pick up that gun and you fire that gun, anyone that get harmed from you firing that gun, that's an innocent bystander. We asking the community, ostracize them, push them out, don't let them hide anywhere, don't support them, and let law enforcement do their job.
The code is this. If you pick up that gun to solve your problem, I'm not endorsing violence. I'm saying you're violating the code if you discharge that weapon and innocent people get shot or killed, especially a child or an elderly person. And the community must uphold that code.
He got a shoe shine.
The reason that it worked in the 90s, because everyone was a part of it. Kids, women, elderly, was off limits.
You didn't touch him.
Didn't touch him.
About ostracizing from the community, pushing you out of the community, not supporting you in the community, or protecting you in the community, so that law enforcement can do their job by apprehending you. And the Cook County State's Attorney can do her job by making sure that you get a fair prosecution. This is so that there's no retaliation in the community because you discharge or you fire that weapon that you're attending or intended to target.
We all got to come together. Those of you, my name is Wallace Beatty Bradley. I'm the urban translator. I'm the president of United Peace Inc. We all got to come together to let it be known that Black lives matter everywhere. Regardless if the police shoot somebody that's black, it means twice as much to our community when someone black is shooting someone black.
With at least 8 children under the age of 10 shot in the city in just 2 weeks, some are asking if that code still carries any weight.
This is something that we got to do.
Gator catches up with some friends on Calumet.
That 1-year-old that got killed.
His conversations of late have focused on kids getting shot. He says the rule still applies.
We as men got to put it down and say that still exists. It never left.
We all got a responsibility.
We all got a responsibility, man.
But it never left.
I'm going to call out to all the brothers. You know what we do. Put the word on the street that this is no longer tolerated. Me and Holmes work together and we know how it works. We've been able to help individuals turn themselves in of the community, kick them out, but law enforcement come to arrest them. Now is the time. Just like it was a video from Miss Frazier that let everybody know about the awakening of George Floyd. Somebody got a video, or we need to use our video to stop this senseless violence.
And I believe that vengeance belongs to the Lord. And with that, I want to say, to God be the glory. And that's my story. You know, I'm just watching that intro and I always start my show with that intro. And it's very interesting that last year, 4th of July, 72 people I got wounded, 20 had died. 92 people. This year, 108 people were shot or killed. So I believe the last count was 18 out of that 108 have died. The numbers may go up after this show. 108. The president came not to Chicago, but he was in, I believe, the county of Cook.
or may have been downstate somewhere, Crystal something. But he was in Illinois. The mayor went out there to see him. The county board president went out there to see him. The governor was there to see him. And various other individuals, elected, spiritual leaders, business leaders, was there to see him. And he was there to let the people in what one would describe as being the red part of the state, because we are in the blue state, to convince the Republicans and Democrats that his plan that he's pushing, the infrastructure plan and the job plan that he's pushing, is going to benefit everyone, whether you're Republican or Democrat or independent, whether you black, white, Latinx, and regardless of your gender. But the topic was, what are you going to do about the violence in Chicago? And there's violence all over the country. There's violence all over the country. A lot of senseless shootings and killings. And the frightening thing is that, in my opinion, from what I've read, it's a lot of black on black killing. I'm sure there's a lot of Latinos or Latinx on Latinx killing, a lot of white on white killing. But I don't want to seem biased, but I am African American, so I'm dealing with the African American that's killing one another senselessly. There's some articles I want to share with you, brother Omari. Could you hit the first group of It Takes All of Us? Right. That one right there. You know, this 4th of July was a lot of shootings, and we trying to get this up because you may already be aware of it, but I want to take advantage on my show to try to keep us on task, because I believe that
we've never been so ready to get back out there. And with Copper Tones...
Yeah, let's go with this one right here first. South Shore uses grassroots efforts to prevent shooting over the violent 4th of July weekend.
Here, with over 100 people shot and 18 killed. But in the city's South Shore neighborhood, it was a different story, as grassroots efforts managed to stave off the worst of it.
On the first 2 nights, on a Friday night and Saturday night on the 4th of July weekend, we had absolutely no shootings.
Dubbed Peace Over East, the effort targeted those most likely to engage in or fall victim to gun violence by giving them something else to do, like 15-year-old Chiamonte, who is still recovering after being shot in a drive-by that injured 5 and killed 1 on 71st Street in Clyde 10 days ago.
I don't want this to happen again. Could have been worse. It could have been death.
So on Saturday, Chiamonte was one of 15 at-risk youth employed to help out at a holiday celebration in Hassan Park. But there were other, more targeted efforts as well.
One of the young rappers in the neighborhood, he was going to shoot a video in the neighborhood, and because of the ongoing conflict, I had him to move the video shoot from the neighborhood where it would be open to potential violence to another neighborhood.
Known as violence interrupters, William Calloway and Arthur Reed say these are strategies that can only come from those with personal relationship and in some cases shared experiences.
I was a product of a gang, not because I sought out a gang, but that was what was already there. So I became a product of that environment. And the only way we can defeat that is to change that narrative. You don't have to be a part of a gang. We got options for you.
City funding for violence prevention programs increased significantly this year to $36 million. But activists say more is needed so that programs like these can happen every weekend and not just on July the 4th.
You know, what's so profound about that?
We've never been so ready to get back out there.
The week before, it was a mass shooting over there. And because of, I believe, of the proper planning, they were able to prevent that same type of shooting within that community. I know both of them gentlemen. They stepped up to the plate. They used their intel from within the community, from former gang members to gang members, from the business leaders to the spiritual leaders, to the grassroots leaders, to the elected officials.
Well, Tanya and Toronto.
It takes all of us. They did all this together, working together, purposely focused, and praying that there be not a replay of the violence in that community like it was a week before the 4th of July. So they had no shootings, they had no fatalities. And they worked together, united in peace with everyone that had a vested interest in making sure that their children and grandchildren, the elderly, and the community is in our hands. All of us is in our hands. Through God's mercy and grace and the hedge of protection that he puts around us from the time that he wakes us up. I ain't no preacher, I ain't preaching. I'm just telling you that there is a solution. We're not dealing with theories. Those brothers was instrumental in helping the violence go down in the 90s. They know what to do. It's called getting network from networking. It's called supporting the code that I spoke about earlier, where everyone got to be held accountable. Just like the gentleman and the Gray said, he made sure that they wouldn't have a video shoot of someone shooting a video, a rapper shooting a video, and he wouldn't explain to the rapper, we don't think that would be conducive because it may draw violence. And by the rapper and his manager being businessmen, they understood that. Solutions. Proper planning prevents poor performance. It also shows where one can be proactive instead of being reactive and stopping retaliatory action because of someone being shot. They had to convince the individual through the word of mouth, which we call telephone, telegram, or telenegro. We know y'all may have loved ones that got shot out here. Let's try to ease this. Let's work together. Let's find out what the beef is. Let's not retaliate. Let's show that we can come together and lay down the law of the land. If you violate that code, you're going to be held accountable. There's going to be consequences for your actions. I'm not pushing no vigilante activity, because I'm the type of individual that believes vengeance belongs to God. They showed that. Now the president come here and the governor go to see him, and the community is asking their governor. Did you show that, Brother Mari? Yeah, this right here.
For all searching for solutions to help stop the violence here. It's weighing heavily on elected officials under a lot of pressure right now. This morning, Cook County announcing a $1.5 million investment through the Justice Advisory Council aimed at addressing the root causes of crime and violence in underserved communities. Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle, along with several elected officials and community leaders from the North Lawndale Employment Network, gathering to launch a summer-long campaign to infuse the money into community organizations that work to help people at the ground level be successful in the workplace. Preckwinkle, though, criticizing some of the blame game that has been going on this week after 100 people were shot in Chicago over the holiday weekend. She's calling the violence a public health crisis.
We cannot police our way out of this crisis. While some may look at our problems surrounding violent crime and deflect or point fingers, as Superintendent Brown did earlier this week, we stand committed to continuing to work toward real solutions to the issues that we're seeing in our neighborhoods.
Now, Preckwinkle greeted President Biden on the tarmac at O'Hare Airport yesterday when he visited the area, briefly speaking with him, thanking him for the federal help with the county vaccination effort. Meanwhile, Mayor Lori Lightfoot also greeted the president, talking to him about the federal help that will be arriving soon, special teams that will be dispatched to help tackle gun violence here and across the country. Meanwhile, this morning, a group of aldermen and activists gathered in front of City Hall, saying safety starts with funding the community.
If Lori Lightfoot actually cares about the Black and brown residents of Chicago, she is going to make sure that that money is invested and put into the pockets of the Black and brown residents of the city of Chicago.
And later on this afternoon, a group of local pastors plan to hold a news conference. They say they will admit that they could and should do more about helping to stop the violence.
You know, like I say, it's wonderful that they're searching for solutions. It allows them a chance to see that solutions exist. You know what I mean? And one of the things I've reached out to the elected officials, business leaders, spiritual leaders, fraternities, sororities, Masonic Order, Eastern Star, my family, my friends' families, everything. So I'm glad to see that this is happening. But it's time for them all to come out and be in full support. It don't cost you no money to let it be known publicly that you are in full support and demand the enforcement of the code to kill the myth that media has put out here and those that's doing the shooting that the code don't exist. It do exist. And the people in the community are fed up with it. They're tired of it. And they're about to come down just as hard as the people in the United States that's saying who the individuals were that attacked the United States Capitol and disrupt Congress on January the 6th. They're using all kind of technology to catch them individuals. And the people of the United States, they're pointing out their parents, their loved ones, their friends, and their children. And that's what's going to happen. And I'm saying that to say this. If you're screaming for the state of emergency, then why not allow the individuals from behind the wall to at least say stop the violence? Why not allow Larry Hoover, Jeff Ford, Gino, or whomever from behind the walls, whether they gang leaders or former gang leaders or whatever they are, to be able to say stop the killing? A federal judge denies sentencing break to Larry Hoover, one of the most notorious criminals in Illinois history. But the irony of it, he left it open where Larry can make his bid again. Okay. Could you bring it up a little bit? Bring it up a little bit. No. Bring the story up. Right there. Ronald Safer remembers the day a judge handed gangster disciple leader Larry Hoover a life sentence, which really turned to be 6 life sentences, and the way the federal lockup clanged behind Hoover while Hoover's family watched. But they don't say that Ronald Safer broke all kind of laws in order to convict Larry Hoover. There's a law called Title III where recording tapes supposed to be sealed by a certain time. They didn't seal the tapes, so it left them a lot of time to edit and fandangle and make whatever is that wasn't there. Now that he's in private practice, he fights for clients against the violation of the Title III when he violated when he was assistant U.S. attorney. They were from the Northern District. They didn't have the right to even go to the Southern District or permission from the Southern District to put bugs on individuals visiting passes. He had no problem when the judge, by the law, released, I think, at least 6 of the individuals. Some of them had life sentences. Up under the law, the First Step Act, which is the same law that Larry is saying he should receive the same justice. If we was all on the same case. And the judge let it be known why they should have a chance. We talking about humanity through redemption. Then when you read the story further down, then Safer says he supported that. And then he says it's inhumane what they're doing to Larry. But he was a part of the they. I believe that Larry's going to find justice through the system. Just like Bill Cosby was able to find justice through the system. But I'm saying in the name of humanity through redemption. What do you mean by that, Gator? This story right here. Yeah, put that story up. Illinois has paroled a double axe murder. Other hideous killers. Yet they say that Larry shouldn't receive that same form of humanity through redemption. Their biggest fear of Larry Hoover is that he can convince, right there, he can convince some people to stop the violence. You hear what I'm telling you? They're afraid that he can convince some people to stop the violence. That he can convince individuals that, hey, before you grab that gun, know that there's consequences for your actions. Just like I made the mistake. Just like he made the mistake. They don't want to allow this man to say this. They say he's hideous, yet they let hideous individuals go, double axe murderers. We talk about humanity through redemption. We talk about finding solutions to help stop the senseless violence in our city, in our county, in our state, in this country. They know what he can do. He ain't God, he can't do all things. But they know that he can convince someone. Hey man, go find somebody to talk to before you grab that gun. Let's find out what the beef is about. A lot of these things are beefs. Let's find out what happened. Let's find out who did wrong. Okay? Let's do this. He can do it, he's done it. Some individuals that you see that's doing this has done it. Case in point, John Hinckley, he's freed. 2016, they let him go. He tried to kill the president, President Reagan. He shot 2 or 3 other individuals. One individual, I think Brady, that's from Illinois. They let him go. They felt what they were doing here was inhumane. And this man tried to kill the president. We talk about humanity through redemption. And what I want to say publicly, I'm asking all the congressmen in Illinois, there's Democrats and some Republicans, especially the African Americans, congressmen. I'm asking our senator, Dick Durbin, criminal justice reform advocate, and sponsored the bill that was signed that gave individuals a chance because they was unjustly sentenced to come back. That made a nonpartisan bill. And Senator Duckworth running for re-election. Let's let humanity through redemption be a part of your platform dealing with criminal justice reform, and to do everything to use everyone's voice to help stop this killing. I'm asking our legislators, Republican or Democrat, that's concerned about public safety for the state, especially the African American caucus, the Latino caucus, and the Progressive caucus. To ask and plead with our governor, that's a criminal justice reform, public safety governor, to pardon Larry Hoover. Pardon him. Allow him to be an asset to make society better. Allow him that. Pardon him. Do what you did to Joe Reed. Time for to serve. He fit the bill. By you doing that, they try to say that the reason he shouldn't be free, that the state don't want him back here, the correctional institution, he might get pardoned or he may get paroled, to the point they cut a very hideous and sinister deal from what I'm reading. And I read the whole court order. That's why I know it's not over. It's still an opening for him to come back and show. How can you free everyone else? Especially those that was on the trial with me. Not that they shouldn't receive the justice, they should, and so should Larry. For the sake of humanity through redemption, it will make a difference in this country, especially when you got Republicans that's doing harm to the democracy by confusing our people, suppressing the vote. You got to show Americans humanity through redemption. The people in America voted for President Biden, especially African Americans, because they have a redemptive spirit. He needs to give that back. Show that he have a redemptive spirit. It can save lives. Pardon Larry Hoover. If Hindley can be free, why can't Larry? If Bill Cosby can be free because of the justice system, because they violated his rights, why can't Larry? What they're doing is inhumane, even safer. Saying Larry is a human being, even though all the wrong things he did. We as a people, elected officials, don't just meet the president at the airport and ask about what about the violence in the city of Chicago. We try to find a solution. You just saw how people in the community, you just saw how that young lady spoke, and the young adults standing there with her, with adults that's older than them. You just saw where a community that had mass shooting didn't have no shooting this 4th of July. Those are the people that's influenced by Larry Hoover's vision. That's not hideous. They're finally talking, and everyone is listening. You saw where the county board president and the mayor is with the president. They're not bickering with one another. They're purposely focused. 2022 is a very important election. And if the people are confused because they don't see humanity through redemption, this country will be damned. I'm speaking what I see and speaking what I know. And those that know me know from where I came. Know that I'm not biting my tongue. I'm standing on this 10 toes deep like a redwood tree, redwood tree. On truth and knowing what can be done. And I'm seeing it be done. And they seeing it be done. Let's do it. The solution is in the name of humanity through redemption. And with that, I want to say, let us continue to walk by faith in God, put in righteous works, pray that God continue to bless us with his mercy, grace, and his hedge of protection around us and our family. And I want to end this story till next week by saying, to God be the glory. Peace.